recording to continue literature, chapter 12. We share the excerpt of jazz and we continue reading. Where were we? We were at 5, the cook, which is here. We were here. We didn't underline the main idea here. So here, girls, Linda. Yes, Linda. What is the main idea here, Linda, of what we've read now?
Should it be from the lines?
Yes, dear.
Should it be from the lines? Well, I should say.
Yes, from the lines. From here is the 2 paragraphs. Give me to underline 2 lines that it has the main idea. What did you understand from these 2 paragraphs together?
He held no wait. I can't find it. I can't find the main idea.
Okay. Lujain, can you? Lujain, Marie Muhammad, Malika. Where are you girls?
Yes.
Who's here?
Yes.
Maria?
Malika. Yes. That colored people cannot eat with the rest.
Yes, so that they were out of Delaware and a long way from Maryland, there would be no green as poison curtain separating the colored people eating from the rest of the diners. Please underline this. This is the main idea of these 2 paragraphs. Okay, you underlined, girls?
Yeah.
Okay, Maryam, Muhammad, are you here?
Yes, miss.
Yes, Maryam, read.
Okay. 1 minute. Okay. The cook would not feel obliged to pile extra helping on the plates headed for the curtains. 3 lemon slices and iced tea. 2 pieces of coconut cake arranged to look like one, to take the staining out of the curtain. Homie it up with a little extra one on the plate. Now, skirting the city, there were no green curtains. The whole car could be full of colored people, and everybody on first come first serve basis. If only they would tuck those little boxes and baskets underneath the seat, close those paper bags for once, put the bacon stuffed biscuits back to the clothes they were wrapped in, and troop single file through the 5 cars ahead on into the dining car, where the table linen was at least as white as the sheets they dried on juniper bushes, where the napkins were folded with a crease as stiff as the ones they were ironed for Sunday dinner, where the gravy was as smooth as their own, and the biscuits did not take second place.
Thank you, dear. So here, Maryam, what is it about? The cooks. Who is the cooks? Maryam.
Yes.
Who are the cooks? People who cook on the plane, on the train.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. So what would they do? Yani, what is different between a place that there are curtains dividing the people or the color of the whites and a normal train?
They said that they treated them differently. They put the food differently and different quantities of food.
Excellent. Before, when there was a curtain, they treated people differently. The amount of food was different. So 3 lemon slices in the iced tea, 2 pieces of coconut cake arranged to look like one. Yes. To take the stench out of this curtain, homie it up with a little extra on the plate. A little extra on the plate. Now, striking the city, they are heading the city. There were no green curtains. There is no green curtain. The whole car could be full of colored people, and everybody on a first come, first serve first come first serve. يعني when you come first you get served first. But if there is a black and white, the white gets served first when there is the discrimination. So here, first come, first serve. Okay? No matter what is your color. If only they would chuck those little boxes and baskets underneath the seat, close those paper bags for once, put the bacon stuffed biscuit back into the cloth they were wrapped in, and troop single file through the 5 cars ahead on into the dining car.
What is that place that they were going to?
Train. They were going to another city.
Well, what's the city? They didn't say, right?
Yes. Okay. Where the table linen was at least as white as the sheets they dried on juniper bushes there at the farm when they used to work, where the napkins were folded with a crease and stiff as the ones they ironed for Sunday dinner. The napkins that they used to iron. Where the gravy, the sauce was as smooth as their own. And the biscuits did not take second place to the bacon stuffed ones they wrapped in cloth. Thank you, Mariam. Malika?
Yes, Miss.
Once in a while. So before we move on, what is the main idea here? Here.
What?
Main idea.
They treated differently colored people from the rest.
Yes. So the cooks would not feel obliged to pile extra helpings on the plates headed for the curtains. This is the main idea. Where are we? Here, once in a while. Once in a while is on which line, girls?
It is on line 55.
Yes, 250, what?
55.
Line 55, yes, once in a while. Yes, read, Malika.
Once in a while it happened. Some well-sold woman with 2 young girls, a priestly kind of man with a watch chain and a rolled brim hat might stand up, adjust their clothes and wave through the coach toward the tables.
Cloth, dear. It's cloth, dear.
Cloth?
Yes. Cloth, not clothes, dear.
Okay. Foamy white with heavy silvery knives and forks, presided over and waited upon by a black man who did not have to lace his dignity with a smile.
Yes.
Joe and Violet wouldn't think of it, paying money for a meal they had not met, that required them to sit still at, or were separated by a table not now. Now entering the lip of the city dancing all the way. Her hip bones rubbed his thigh as they stood in the aisle.
The aisle.
And
Yes.
stopped smiling.
So what's happening here? Once in a while it happened. Okay. So some well-shod woman with the 2 young girls, well-shod woman dressed with 2 young girls, a preacherly kind of man with a watch chain and a rolled brim hat might stand up, adjust their cloth, and weave through the coaches towards the tables of food, foamy white with heavy silvery knives and forks, what they eat, presided over and waited upon by a black man who did not have to lace his dignity with a smile. Lace a dignity with a smile. He is the black man feels good now. He doesn't have to lace his dignity with a smile. So back to Joe and Violet. Joe and Violet wouldn't think of it, paying money for a meal they hadn't missed, and that required them to sit still at, or were separated by a table. They will be sitting separated by a table to eat. Not now. Not now. They do not want to go now for to miss the moment of not entering the lap of the city, dancing all the way. They are entering the city now, dancing all the way. Her hip bones rubbed his thigh, you know, this dancing, the African dance when a woman is dancing and she hits the thigh of the man, of her man, as they stood in the aisle. So how dancing is related to the title of the story, girls?
Jazz.
Jazz is
Maybe
music.
Jazz. Yeah.
And dancing, so dancing.
Dancing on jazz.
Yes, it shows how important was dancing and music to the Black African American at that time.
Yeah.
Okay, or to the Black or the African American. So they were not even there yet, and already the city was sparkling to them. Thank you, Malika. We to go to Lujain. Lujain is here.
Yes, miss.
Lujain, read dear. From and like a million other, they were dancing. From they were dancing. So before we move on, we will underline they weren't even there yet, and already the city was sparkling to them. Start reading Lujaina from line 69.
Okay.
68, they were.
They were dancing, and like a million others, chests pounding, tracks controlling their feet. They stared out the windows for the first sight of the city that danced with them, proving already how much it loved them. Like a million more, they could hardly wait to get there and love it back. Some were slow about it and traveled from Georgia to Illinois, to the city, back to Georgia, out to San Diego, and finally, shaking their heads, surrendered themselves to the city. Others knew right away that it was for them, this city and no other. They came on a whim because it was, and why not? They came after much. Can you go down?
Yes.
Lagging out.
Continue, Mari, Lujain.
Yes, okay. They came on a whim because it was, and why not? They came after much planning, many letters written to and from, to make sure and know how and how much and where. They came for a visit and forgot to go back to tall cotton or short, discharged with or without honor, fired with or without severance, dispossessed with or without notice. They hung around for a while and then could not imagine themselves anywhere else. Others came because a relative or hometown buddy said, "Man, you best see this place before you die," or "We got room now, so pack your suitcase and don't bring no high-top shoes."
Yes, thank you. So here, what's happening here, Lujain? What's happening here? They were, after they were dancing and like a million others.
They
Million
saw the
others of what?
city.
We said, girls, previous time, that at that time it was the time for Black people to move from villages to the cities. So many Black were moving, many colored American were moving from the farms, from the villages to the cities. Okay? Unlike a million others, huh?
Yes, they were
What's happening?
excited to go to the city.
Yes, they are so excited to go, huh? City danced with them, proving already how much it loved them. Like a
Yeah.
million more, yes. Yeah. Some went, and then he will talk about those who traveled from Georgia to Illinois to the city back to Georgia out to San Diego, and finally shaking their heads, surrendered themselves to the city, and then they settled in the city. What happens in
Yeah.
the city? Others knew, huh?
Others knew that it was for them.
Yes, yeah. There were others who traveled and moved from and in, and then they settled. But
And
others knew from
others,
the beginning it was for them. Yes, continue.
and then, so some of them knew that the city was for them, and others, they came by chance, whether someone asked them to come
Yes.
or yeah, we got room now, so pack your suitcase.
Yes, or they came for a visit and forgot to go back to Tall Cotton or Short. Tall Cotton Short means the fields, farms. Yes. Continue. Discharged with or without honor, fired with or without severance. Yes.
Yeah, it means from when they were enslaved, whether they were discharged with or without honor, they all went to the city, right?
Yes, okay. Others came because a relative or hometown buddy said, man, you have to see this city before you die. Okay? Okay. Then we start from the wave. Which line, Grace? The wave is 87. 87, Linda?
The wave of black people running from want and violence crested in the 1870s and the 80s and 90s, but was a steady turn in 1906 when Joe and Violet joined it. Like the others, they were country people, but how soon country people forget. When they fall in love with a city, it is for forever, and it is like forever. As though as though there never was a time when they didn't love it, the minute they arrive at the train station or get off the ferry and glimpse the wide streets and the wasteful lamps lighting them, they know they are born for it. There in a city, they are not so much new as themselves, stronger and riskier selves.
Yes, so he says to you, and here, or she says, and she mentions the wave of black people running from wanton violence crested in the 18th, 70th, and the 90th, okay, when they start moving to the cities. But was a steady stream. And then it was at the 1906, it was a steady stream. People are moving, Black African American are moving to the states, the cities. And then Joe and Violet joined them. And like the others, they were country people. They used to live in the country, in farms. But how some country people forget? They forget how was the country life. You know those, and you know that there is a difference between living in the country and living in the city, living in farms and living in the city. So they soon forget how was it. They fall in love with the city. Okay, you understand, Grace, the idea of moving from a country to a city?
Yes.
It is forever, and it is like forever, as so there never was a time when they didn't love it. So the minute they arrive at the train station or get off the ferry and glimpse at the wide streets, because it was the first time to see wide streets, and it is like, you know, girls, it's like the Riyadh, when you walk in Riyadh and you go, you see the lights of the city and the wide streets and cars and everything, and then you go to a small village in the desert. So if you have lived all your life in a small village in a desert, you would understand the meaning of seeing wide streets with the lights across the city and this. They know they are born for it. They fell in love with the city. They know, you know, when you know that you were born for something, they are not so much new at themselves. They're stronger, riskier selves. What is the main idea here? Huh? The main idea here, Linda, main
That
idea here.
I'm thinking. Mm, the last line.
Dima, yes, Linda, raise your voice.
I'm saying, is it the last line?
Yes, they're in a city. They are not as so much new as themselves. They're stronger, they're riskier selves. Excellent, Linda. Okay, now, Malika, did you read today?
Yes, miss.
Yes, so Lين الحاج.
Yes, teacher.
Yes, Lين, read. And in the beginning.
And in the beginning, when they first arrived, and 20 years later, when they and the city have grown up, they love that part of themselves so much they forget what loving other people was like. if they ever knew that is. I don't mean they hate them, no, just that what they start to love is the way a person is in the city. The way a schoolgirl never pauses at a stoplight but looks up and down the street before stepping off the car.
Yes, thank you, dear. Lane Matter, continue. Girls, before we continue, I want to tell you something. While you read, you have to understand. While you read, you have to understand. It's like reading a novel. Do you read it and then you reread it to understand it? While you read, you understand. So please, you have to improve this skill. Yani. While you read, when you finish reading it, you explain what is happening. You explain why I ask you to read. So then you explain, or you help me explaining. It is a skill that you have to learn, girls. You practice for it. It's called close reading, that you analyze what you read. Thank you, Lynn. Lynn Matter. Lynn Matter. Leah. Leah. Layal.
Teacher, can I read?
Yes, Dima. Read Dima. Okay, from how men? Lynn Al-Haj, be with me, you and Dima, because you will analyze this.
Do I
Dima?
read for someone else?
Yes.
How men accommodate themselves to tall buildings and wee porches, what a woman looks like moving in a crowd, or how shocking her profile is against the backdrop of the East River. The restfulness in kitchen chores when she knows the lamp oil or the steeple is just around the corner, not 7 miles away. The amazement of throwing open the window and being hypnotized for hours by people on the streets below.
What's happening here? Let's start with Lynn and then Dima. And in the beginning, the part that you read, Lynn, analyze with me.
Yes, that when they arrived at first, like after 20 years since they arrived, they really loved the city and they considered it to be part of themselves.
Yes, they loved the part of themselves when they arrived to the city. They loved that time of excitement, love, when they were overwhelmed by love and overwhelmed by the city. They loved this part of their lives. Now she talks after 20 years of arriving to the city. So they forget what loving other people was like. Continue.
And they loved like the way that a person lives in the city. They said like when a schoolgirl stops by the light and stuff, so they love the life in the cities.
Yes, how she never pauses because she looks up and down the street before stepping off the curb. Okay, thank you, Lynn. Dima, continue.
Here they're describing the men and women.
Yes, the men and women in the city. What did they do in the city?
The men are gathering in tall buildings and porches.
How they accommodate themselves, because the difference between countries and you never see a tall building in the country.
Yes.
What and woman moves in a crowd, because in a country also you don't move in a crowd, it's an empty. So how a woman moves in a crowd, her shocking her profile is against the backdrop of the yeast travel. The restfulness in kitchen chores when she knows that the lamp oil, just around the corner, she can go and let it up. Not 7 miles away. At the country, the lamp oil was away of them. So living in the city was much easier than living in the country, and the facilities in the city was better than those in the country. So the amazement of throwing open the window, and being hypnotized by sitting like this for hours. by people on the street below, to watch people walking in the street below. Okay? Okay, girls?
Okay.
Okay. So here we finished the excerpt, we finished the first read. Okay. I'll show you the PowerPoint. I'll share the PowerPoint. Here is it. To go back to our PowerPoint. To discuss.
Miss, please give us the last 10 minutes free.
I'll give you, but just let's finish the questions.
Okay.
Here the vocabulary we made. Juniper, a time of severe evergreen tree or shrub. Well-shod, the well-shod woman who was holding a baby, carrying a baby, wearing shoe of high quality. Severance, payment made when laid off from a job. Dispossessed, turned out, because possessed is when you are turned on of something. Dispossessed, turned out. Accommodate, when we just read men accommodate tall buildings, adjust or become accustomed. Okay. Crowley, having to do with mixed background, especially Black and European. Creole, yes, how it is pronounced. Let's get sure of the pronunciation of this word, please. Creole, yes, Creole. Okay, not Creole. Creole, having to do with a mixed background. Okay, like Almas Creole sauce. It means that it's from French and Caribbean. Two background, mixed background. Terminable, capable of being ended, like Terminator. Okay, let's discuss the discussion questions. So question number 1, we start by Judy answered, who answered Harir. Harir.
Yes.
Harir. Here are you, Harir. Read the first question, dear.
How did Violet and Joe meet?
Yes, where did they meet, dear? Before they ride the train together to leave this country. It is written in the very beginning of the excerpt.
What, miss?
Where did they meet? Violet and Joe. I said it, dear.
I don't remember.
Okay. Arwa, do you remember? Ahed?
Teacher, can I answer?
Yes. Yes.
Ahed, do you know the answer, dear? Do you know where did they meet?
Not sure.
Okay, Nirvana.
Miss, can I answer?
Yes, Sarah?
Yes, they met in Vesper County in Virginia.
Yes, they met in Vesper County, Virginia. They were working in a farm.
Yes.
Read it, Harir.
They
Harir.
were both working on a farm in Vesper County, Virginia.
Yes, dear. Ghala, are you here, Ghala? Ghala?
Miss, did you
Yes,
hear me?
I'm here.
I'm here.
Yes, Ghala. Question 2, Ghala. What is the main setting?
It's in the car. It's in the train.
In the train. Excellent, dear. It is the main setting in the color section of the train. Okay. Continue, dear. Read it, ya Ghala.
Okay, the main setting is the colored section of a train heading north from Virginia in 1906.
Yes. Thank you, Ghala. Aya
Miss,
Banjak.
did you hear me? I'm
Yes.
here.
Who?
I'm Arwa.
Arwa. Okay, dear. آية بنجك. مريم شغدلي. مريم.
مس آية بنجك شو اسمه تيم طلعها من الكل.
Okay, أروى, question number 3.
Why do Joe and Violet begin dancing?
Why they begin dancing in the train, dear? You dance because Farhat.
Teacher, I want to ask you a question.
Yes, Serena.
But miss, it's about something we took يعني before 10 minutes like this. It's okay?
Okay, just let me finish this question and don't forget your question, okay? Arwa,
Okay.
why did they start dancing? Why you start dancing, ya Arwa?
Because they were happy.
Yes, excited, happy. Read it, dear.
They are excited, happy, and even nervous as they approach the northern city where they plan to settle.
Yes. Okay, the last question. Why might Morrison have capitalized city rather than name the city? You asked me, teacher, where were they heading? And I said, we don't know. It was not mentioned. Judy? Who asked me this question?
Me.
Who, Huda?
Yes.
So why do you think Huda, she didn't mention the city name? Why she mentioned city? Why she said to city, without mentioning the name of the city?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Maybe it's because back then there was no city that was not racist. Like it's just a story from her.
Maybe. Okay, so because African American were moving, so she wanted to say that what she modified, what she described applied to any city, not a specific city.
Ah.
And maybe they went to New York, maybe to New Jersey, any city will have the same description. So the description of moving to city can apply to any city. Read it, Huda.
Marison is suggesting that it could be any of a number of cities in the north or to where African Americans migrated at the turn of the 20th century.
Yes. So we'll stop here. Dear Serena, ask me the question you wanted to ask.
Miss, can you go a little bit to the vocabulary?
Vocabulary here. Yes.
Yes, miss. That is, yeah, what means turned out? You said there's turn in and turn out. What does it mean, turn out?
Possess, when you possess something, you own it. Okay?
Yeah, what means turned out?
This is the opposite of it. He was dispossessed as soon as the company's profits dropped. When you feel dispossessed,
Yeah, like this
you-
owned? Like this owned? Like this owned?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Okay, okay, thank you.
And turned out it means disown and angry at or depressed. Yani not possessed anymore, because when you are possessed you are overwhelmed, so you are not possessed anymore.
Okay, okay.
So I'll stop here. I'll stop recording.